Another way to use the story opening worksheets is for story summaries. So you may want to write the word summary up there too, because many teachers love to have children write a quick summary sentence after reading a story. In other words, maybe I read The Three Little Pigs. So you would have your setting, character, and action boxes up above, and we could say, when was this happening? One day. Where did the story happen? In the woods. Who was doing the action? The three pigs. Action. What happened? What did they do? And they built houses, 3 different houses, like the straw house, the stick house. Maybe we could draw those. And then we have our brick house. And now we say, one day in the woods, the 3 little pigs built different houses, but the brick house kept them safe from the wolf. Now we would go back and write the 1, capitalize it, put our comma, put our period, and they could write a summary sentence. So this can be used for children to write story openings, just like you see the examples here, and then the quick example I showed below, so that they can actually write a summary of a story, a quick summary of the overall idea of a story. On page 218 and 219, you have black line masters for both the story opening or story summary pages. On page 218, you have the fat lines, and on page 219, you have skinnier lines, depending on the age of the student and their ability. Page 220 shows the topic sentence worksheet. Again, this activity could be done whole group, this activity could be done in small groups, and then finally, independently, as independent work for students. In this activity, students were learning about firefighters. And now they were asked, number 1, subject. Who or what is the information about? So again, we have our subject here. And then we said firefighters, so we drew the firefighter. Number 2, we're going to go over to our predicate and we're going to say, what's the big idea about firefighters? What information did we learn about firefighters? And then the students are drawing a picture about how firefighters put out flames. And maybe they may say something like, firefighters put out fire, and you can go, woo, 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 redundant police, redundant police. Good writers don't keep using the same important words. I can't keep saying fire, fire. So what's another word for fire? Flames. And then we may write that keyword flames on our page, or we may just say it orally. Now we go back, after we have our subject and our big idea, now we're going to go to the setting. Setting when it comes to information is optional. You don't always have a setting. In this case, they did. Do we need to know when and where the firefighter was putting out the flames? Yes, we do need to know when firefighters put out the flames. They put out flames every day in crowded places. So students were learning that they put out fires every day, and in this case they were learning how they had put out fires in crowded places. So then we drew our pictures, and then we went back, added fancy words. So now we're going to add those adjectives to only the parts of the sentence that's worthy, what our reader needs described. So we would go back and do we need to have the setting, the subject, or the big idea described? And in this case, they described many parts, but when they actually put the sentence together, notice they only use the word hot for the flames. So some brainstorming was done in the boxes. It doesn't mean that you have to use it for your sentence that you finally form. That's important for kids to understand. We're brainstorming, but we're orally rehearsing our sentence over and over and over again until we think that it sounds right and it's the best sentence we can create. So we would go back and say, every day in crowded places, firefighters put out hot flames. Every day in crowded places, brave firefighters put out hot flames. You're going to say it many different ways. Once the kids orally say it, then they go back and they can put in their punctuation. They can add their first word. Maybe they're just going to put an E there for every day or write out the whole word. After we say our sentence over and over again, what do? They write it down. When they're finished writing, they go back and they can highlight where their commas go. So we had our comma and period up in our boxes and our capital up in our boxes. We're capitalizing our E. Every day in crowded places, I don't see that comma. Now they can fix it. And then they put their period. This is a wonderful way for students to fix their sentences and understand why. They can see, oh, after the setting, we need a comma. Then at the end of my sentence, I need a period. Now when I write the words, those marks need to be on my sentence. It's a fabulous way for children to understand capitalization and punctuation as well. So we have our topic sentence here that you can, again, do whole group, small group, or students can eventually use this activity to write big ideas on their own. Let's look at page 220 again, but this time, let's look at it so that we can also have students write topic sentences about information that we've been reading. If I finish reading a story, I can actually say to students, who or what was that information about? What was the big idea that we learned? Do we have a setting? Then we can put together a quick summary of that information. If I was reading information, SS light bulb, setting, subject, big idea, we could have our worksheet and ask the students, maybe we were reading about penguins. And what did we learn about penguins? So I will ask the students, subject, who or what were we learning about? Penguins, all right. Let's draw our penguin quickly. So we have our penguin here. What information? What was the big idea that we learned about penguins? Penguins keep eggs warm by putting them between their legs. So we're going to just draw that picture. Here's the penguin, and there's the egg between their leg. A fast sketch. We do not need to make this an art project. Let's go back and read it. Penguins keep their eggs warm by hugging them with their legs. Let's go back and ask, do I need a setting? So I may go back and say, during the cold season, where in Antarctica, penguins hug their eggs between their legs to keep them warm. We have our sentence. We would go back. We would add our punctuation. We would add our capitalization. During. So now I'm going to write the word during or just put a D there. During cold seasons in Antarctica, I'm going to put a capital A there because when I write Antarctica, it's the name of a place. Then I'm putting my comma. Penguins hug their eggs to keep them warm, period. Below, students will have their lines to write out their sentences as well as to refer back to their capitalization and commas and periods in order to make sure they correctly put those marks on their sentences. Again, this is a topic sentence. They can write about a book they've read, about information they've learned. It's a very powerful activity. On the facing page, 221, is your black line master. You could staple many of these together and have a big idea book that your kids could constantly be filling in all year long, connected to their science and social studies or any read aloud informational books that you've been reading to them. On page 222 is the same exact chart, but notice you have the skinny lines. So this is for a student who's a little older and doesn't need the wider lines in order to write on, but it still has your setting, your subject, and your big idea. So that completes our sentences chapter. Remember, the who what chart is a wonderful aid for you to give children a colorful visual understanding of how to form powerful sentences. This can be used throughout the writing process, whether they're writing narratives, whether they're writing information. The who what chart is a valuable tool to form sentences, to add more information to sentences so that you can expand on them. Also, we looked at student Blackline Masters worksheets that you can eventually give students so that they can write their own powerful sentences with secret formulas of setting, subject, big idea for topic sentences, setting, character, action for story opening sentences. Those same Blackline Masters can be used for summary sentences for information and stories as well. Good luck, and I hope you're able to show your students how to write those powerful sentences and then extending it so that they can actually write powerful sentences on their own.